hour because we had like tech issues. So
Okay. I don't think I would be surprised. Technology just does what it wants when it wants, you know?
right. Okay. We're live actually, so let's get right into it. Ladies and gentlemen, you are listening to Love Bay Afrobeat Music Talk Radio. My name is Sean Williams, aka the President, and you are listening to the Safe Room Podcast, a safe space for entrepreneurs and business owners here in so it's always good to get a guest back on the pod and go back for round two. So I'm gonna make this intro super quick. She is a registered clinical herbalist and a certified breathwork facilitator. That just sounds so sophisticated, but it's the type of sophistication that's like, it hits the chest right. Hits the chest right. She is also the founder of Elemental Notes. We're gonna have a very good conversation on breathwork, some of the seminars that this person has done through her business. Ladies and gentlemen, the one and only Miss Nairobi Vision. Nairobi, how are you doing?
I'm great. I love the intro. The intro was amazing. And I'm going to start calling you Prezi.
I like that. I like that. It's a nice little ring to it. Prezi. Okay. Thank you so much. Okay. Yeah, Nairobi, how are you feeling? And I mean, it's your time back here on the safe room. I know the first time was super like I'm still soaking in all the information that you dropped on that conversation. So I mean, that one hit me like deeply. But how are you feeling now being back on here for the second time?
I'm feeling great. Thank you for having me back. It's always a pleasure. How are you doing?
I'm doing good. I mean, just keeping busy, just working on stuff as I go, being grateful, thanking God that I'm just being able to do what I do what I love, speaking to people like yourself, having these conversations and just doing God's work. So I can't complain.
Okay. Yeah. Awesome. Yeah, I'm happy to be back, man.
Yeah, I know we're gonna have a really good conversation. Like I mentioned, we're gonna talk about some of the seminars you've been doing for Elemental Notes. We're gonna talk about breath work. So for those who may be unfamiliar with breath work, this is the conversation where we're gonna basically open the book and just get right into the brass tacks of everything. And we're gonna learn a little bit more about Nairobi. Hopefully, we get to see more of her personality. I know from the first episode, I really got to see a lot of your personality. I'm trying to like up it to like the next level.
My personality will come out regardless. you don't have to you don't have to coax it out. It'll come out.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Okay. But before we get into all the main questions, we have to run our opening segment, the hot seat. Now, Nairobi, you did do this last time. So I will be fair. Like most of the questions are the same. There's only one different question, but I do want to see if maybe some of your answers have changed. So trying to see if like if you remembered what you said from our previous conversation. Listen, don't even try to like worry about like, wait, what did I say, Sean? Like, do
I'm
you
not
remember?
going to. It's gonna come right off the top. That's how
Okay,
you know
perfect.
that's how you know it's organic, right?
Absolutely. Okay, so the first question. So outside the work that you do, tell me something about yourself in one sentence.
Okay. I'm pretty sure I said I had a snake, but um something I do in one sentence that's different. Hmm. I feel like I feel like life is like a vehicle and I love to drive. So
Ooh.
it doesn't matter what kind of vehicle it is, if it's flight, if it's by sea, if it's by land. Yeah, that's something different about me. I was actually thinking about that. I was thinking about that either today or yesterday about how we intersect with so many different things and we're all so unique. And like there isn't, it's like snowflakes. Like there isn't a replica of another snowflake. Every single one of them are individuals, and who we align with in that space is
Right.
pretty awesome. So I feel like that wasn't one sentence. I kind of went off on a tangent, but yeah. Next question.
that's totally fine. But honestly, like we have to rewind to what you just said, like the bars and like the layers throughout the word. Like life is a vehicle, and you just love to drive. Man, like Nairobi, are you low key like a rapper, musician on the side? Like I don't know. Like you're dropping a
In my
lot of
head.
bars.
In my head. In the shower.
I think that's such a strong sentiment right there. I really love that because like even the using the analogy of like snowflakes, not every snowflake is the same. So I mean like I think that's stuff that allows me to reflect a little bit more on just like where I'm at. And again, I love to be that driven person myself, no matter what the situation may be. So I think hearing that from you and the way that you eloquently put that, I think it's just we're on the right foot, ladies and gentlemen. We are starting on the right foot. I love that. Okay. The second question I wanted to ask you. So this was the one I switched up. So I know last time I asked you name a product / remedy that you used for the betterment of yourself. We're gonna scratch that. We're gonna do something a little bit different. What
Okay.
is your dream vacation spot?
Hawaii.
Okay. Hold on, wait. Before we continue, I think I have to just say this. Didn't you post something on your IG about saying explore Hawaii with Nairobi?
Yep,
So you did go to Hawaii.
I did. Yeah.
So technically, does that not mean that Hawaii can't be your dream vacation spot because you've already went there, or am I tripping?
You didn't say that though. You said what's my dream vacation. You
Okay,
didn't say
okay.
that you haven't been to. Like it was Hawaii's always been on my bucket list and it did not disappoint. And being there just made me love it even more. Like I would definitely live there. It's so beautiful.
Okay, I feel that. I feel that. You know what? You got me. You got me with the loophole. All right. Not a lot of people get a fast one with me, but you got me on that one.
Do you want me to say one that's that I haven't been to? I can do that.
I mean, look. I mean, you could keep it with Hawaii. I'm not gonna change your answer. I mean, it is what it is.
Okay.
Okay. All right. So the third question I have here is an interesting fact that you rarely share about yourself.
Oh boy. If I rarely share it, am I gonna share it now?
I mean, like something that probably a lot of people don't know about in terms of like you.
um I feel like a lot of people don't know that I used to play basketball.
So the thing is, I think you did tell me that last time.
Yeah,
So I mean,
I used to hoop. A lot of people don't know that though, and they're surprised. They're not, but they are. They're like, it kind of makes sense. Okay, let me see what another one is. Interesting fact. Um, I really love instruments. Um,
okay.
like I will, depending on what's happening. Um, well, I'll give you a couple. I depending on what's happening, I might just play like instrumental strings. So it's just violin music, or like R&B or hip hop violin. So there's no words, just the rhythm to the strings, or saxophone because I do love jazz. And I actually used to play the saxophone when I was younger.
Okay. That's super dope. I honestly, when you said violin, I'm like, yeah, I can definitely see like the violin, like, but saxophone, that's super dope as well. I remember back in high school, I used to play the trombone for band. So we had like a band in our school, and every like day after school, we would always meet up and do practice. And the reason why I played the trombone, it wasn't even about my personal preference. It was actually because my music teacher at the time said that you have the arms for it because just based on like the length of your arms and your wingspan, like you can actually hit the tougher
Yeah,
notes. So I just need someone to be that trombone player, and I kind of grew to like it.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I Trombone was never my thing. I actually wanted to to play the drums, but there was only one drum set, and someone got to it before I did. So my backup was the saxophone.
Okay, interesting. So it was the matter of like I want to play the drums, but someone beat me to it. It's like, dang it. All right,
Yeah,
that
I was,
sufficed.
I was pretty pissed. I was like, because that's my vibe, like the drums. But the sax was too. After I learned to play it, it was pretty cool.
Yeah, I mean, listen, sometimes things kind of happen for a certain reason that we may not know. It could be out of our control.
Yeah.
Okay, okay. Going on to the final question for this hot seat segment. What is your personal safe room? So a safe space, it could be physical or mental, that allows you to be your authentic self.
I feel like this answer is twofold, and it's not going to um, it's probably going to be different from what you're expecting. Um, my safe space is a place where I can find solace and peace and reflect, to be my authentic self. And I come into that either through my breath work or through walking by the water.
Okay.
So I'm just looking for my computer is about to die. Where is
Okay.
the charger?
It
Just
happens
one second.
sometimes. Yeah,
I have
sometimes
it.
you have that issue where like you're on your laptop and then next thing you know it's about to die. So you gotta make sure you charge that up real quickly. I have mine plugged in just in case of like any
Yeah,
emergencies.
there we go. Okay. I had it sitting here. I just couldn't find the piece to plug in. So yeah, my safe space is where I can go for introspection. I feel like um, it changes depending on what's going on, but the water and returning to my breath always seem to just bring me to that place of peace.
Yeah, definitely for sure. And I mean, like, I think that's really great because, it definitely sounds like, something really soothing just from the words that you said, like walking by the water. I know when people think about walking by the water, they want to probably look at a view from afar, or maybe they just want to actually look at the water and just see like the flow patterns, different kind of like perspectives. For me, like, I wish I had the chance to walk by the water, but it's like, where I'm from and where I'm like in, like where I live, it's like you don't get to see stuff like that. So sometimes it's like if I get to maybe go down by the pier, like downtown, and probably go stay at like Queensquay East or like Lakeshore, like maybe you'll see stuff like that. But for me, like I'll get the chance to do that. So it's nice to hear that, you find that type of solace and peace with yourself through like walking by the water, that kind of becomes like your safe space in a way. And again, like everyone's safe space is completely different. Some people, their safe space could be just like right at home. Their safe space can be somewhere else in the public. But for you, it's kind of like more of like this like inner bubble when you're in this one setting, which I think is really good.
Yeah, it's introverted for sure.
Yeah, yeah. And honestly, sometimes we need to embrace our like introvert characteristics. Not all the time we always have to be so like outgoing and bubbly and just like, oh, hi, hi, hi. Listen, sometimes I want to be alone. And that's okay.
Yeah. Well, that brings me to our slogan, embrace your healing rhythm. That's the point. Like the question that you asked, how do you do that? And everyone's rhythm is a bit different, right?
Absolutely, absolutely. Okay, so that's pretty much the hot seat segment. That was round two for you. I think honestly, these I might have liked these answers more because like they were super like super original from the first sets you had. So like I loved it.
Okay.
Okay, so now I want to get into the main questions. Now, for those who don't know, I did interview Nairobi before. You can probably go check out the episodes on streaming platforms to hear what we talked about. So I don't want this conversation to be like too much of a rinse and repeat, but I did want to talk about one particular thing, and that is breath work. Now, I know we kind of did talk about it a bit from our previous conversations, but I know since then you've been really pushing towards being like again a certified breathwork facilitator through just some of the stuff that you do. And I would like for you to kind of explain just quickly before we get into that, just what is elemental notes, how it got started, and just why the focus right now for you specifically is kind of centered on breathwork. And I'm not kind of trying to say that nothing else matters in what you're doing. I would never imply that to anyone on here, but it's just like why has now breathwork kind of become, the focus point at this moment for your business?
Okay. So Elemental Notes is a company. I kind of call it a hub of holistic education and natural health solutions. We specialize in supporting people in optimizing their health. And why we're looking at breath work more recently is because your breath helps you to return to the source of who you are. And with everything that's happened, especially with the pandemic, a lot of people, a lot of things have increased. So mental health has increased. It's doubled in a decade. Um, Cardiovascular disease, 1 in 5 people have a cardiovascular, or sorry, 1 in 5 people have a respiratory illness. And when it comes to cardiovascular issues like strokes, people are passing away 4 times more than they did with COVID. Um, so when you breathe, you help to support different pathways in your body. You help to get your oxygen intake higher. And from a scientific standpoint, that helps to push out carbon dioxide because you're transporting more oxygen through your blood to your tissues throughout your system, which is helping to get rid of waste and toxins. And when we clean ourselves, like a lot of us will do detoxes and things like that. But when we clean ourselves, we start to feel better. When you do a detox, at the time of the detox, you usually don't feel good. But once it's done, you feel rejuvenated, you feel fantastic. Um, and I just find that the breath is the fastest way to get to where you want to be. It's just a tool that you can utilize and it's yours. So if you learn how to master it and what to do with it, you can relieve yourself of anxiety, stress. It can help you go to sleep because it takes you out of the fight or flight, and puts you into the rest and relaxation state. So from the sympathetic nervous system into the parasympathetic nervous system. And it also helps to bring introspection. So if, like in my experience, it's supported release of emotional trauma, and it's brought mental clarity, and on top of like helping to remove inflammation. So I I believe the focus on breath is because it belongs to everybody. You don't have to go and buy it. You already have it, and we all breathe. So why not breathe consciously to support our health?
Mm, yeah, definitely for sure. That last part really like stuck to me because again, like you mentioned, you can't go by like breath or like air. And it's like it's something that we live by. So like I think that's something to really reflect on. And one thing that kind of ran through my mind as well is like sometimes based on the environments that we're in, that sometimes it can have an impact on like how we may breathe. And maybe you can correct me if I'm wrong, but I feel like sometimes if you're in a space where it's just like the vibes are just not there, then maybe you start to get a little bit more anxious. Or maybe if you're in a space of with people and then like, you just feel like, oh no, like should I be here? Like, do I really belong here? Next thing you know, like your breath control starts to become a little bit inconsistent. Or maybe you're in a space by yourself and there's something missing. Maybe you're looking to have a companion or someone by your side, and maybe it's just kind of affecting your flow. Like, so, like, I guess my follow up question is like, do you find that, with certain spaces, maybe like more to the, I guess, maybe more personal for people, like maybe if it is something that's like being alone, having the time to actually understand their breath work is better for them? Or do you feel like it's someone like yourself who tries to help people, find that breath control and come to you? I guess what I'm trying to say, and I'm trying not to like twist my words together, is that what are some different spaces that I guess you could probably say that have a huge impact on how people may, breed in? It could be like maybe a positive space or a negative space, depending on.
Um, some spaces that may have an impact on how people breathe. Stress induced states. stress-induced places. So it depends on what causes stress for that person. Maybe at work they don't feel appreciated or they feel undervalued. That could cause stress. Maybe it's someone who's in crowds and they have social anxiety. Maybe it's somebody who's about to public speak and they sweat profusely because their anxiousness is through the roof. Like there's so many different spaces, and it just depends on what's happening with that person internally and what the trigger is. But I've had spaces where I've had to speak in front of people, and my anxiety was through the roof, and I just did some breathing, and no one would know I was doing it because of the technique I was using, but it helped to calm down my nervous system. That and ashwagandha.
I know that's definitely going to be a word you're going to probably say multiple times in this conversation. I can feel it already.
Yeah.
But yeah, like I think that's super important. You mentioned like public speaking. I think for any entrepreneurs like listening to this conversation, public speaking is like one of the most toughest things to overcome, because eventually, if you want people to know about your business, you're gonna have to eventually talk to people in public, whether it's at a networking event or even a one-on-one with someone. Maybe it's a potential partner or investor, or maybe you're talking to a crowd of people making a pitch. That's always going to come to play. And you mentioned how for you have your own ways of like breath control and breath work, but for some people they may not notice that. So it's like, do you also feel like, let's say for example myself, I have no problem speaking into a crowd or speaking in front of a crowd of like 100,000 people. I will do that with ease. But for some reason, if you put me in front of like 5 of my closest friends, I'm gonna fold, because I don't know what it is. It's like they're just more hard on you, and they might just joke around and everything like that. So do you think there's like even other factors that may come into effect on how our breath work could be affected? Maybe not just in terms of space, but maybe like, certain attitudes, behaviors, or even like people we associate with.
Can you ask that question again? Do I think that breath would help that? Or
How like breath would be affected based on like maybe other
oh
factors,
yeah,
like,
yeah.
yeah.
It's stress. If you're okay, if you're interviewing a stranger, you don't know this person's thought process. You don't really know anything about this person. It's a little bit different than if you're standing in front of people who know you very well and might critique what you're doing, or might have questions. Like it's different. So I can understand that. But yes, that definitely.
Okay. Okay. Because this is something that I feel like I need to kind of understand for myself as well. Because again, like I'm not perfect. I feel like a lot of people, including myself, probably go through that stress every single day or maybe just once in a while. And like we kind of ask ourselves, like, why am I stressed? And I think everyone asks that, like, why do I get stressed over certain situations? Like, this should be like a piece of cake. This should be easy for me. But at the same time, like, my palms get sweaty again, my breath is out of control and everything like that. And I think that's super important to address. And the next part I actually want to talk about is some of the seminars that you do. So for the seminars, do you usually focus on those conversations on breath work, or is there other things that you do talk about? And if there are different things you do talk about, what are those things that you cover in your seminars?
So it depends on what I'm being hired for with the seminars. I do a lot of seminars for um, different community organizations, different schools, educational institutions, whether it's university or college or high school or middle school. So it depends on what they are asking for. Um, I've done breathwork workshops where it's big, large groups of people who are going through a breathwork journey, and all of their experiences are totally different because of what's going on inside them. Sometimes we do holistic seminars or plant seminars, holistic wellness seminars. So with the plant seminars, it would be teaching people about the medicinal plants that are out there, what you can use them for, how to use them, where to source them, what properties they have. So if something is ailing you, You can use a plant as an alternative to support you through your recovery. Um, with a holistic seminar, it would be, again, dependent on what the theme is. Uh, for example, one seminar we did where we did for majority of the time speak about plants, but we spoke about other things that would help with from a holistic perspective. So if you have allergies, what you can take that are not plants that will support your circulation to get your um, antihistamines to change, or how to ground yourself, so that maybe you're a bit more stable and balanced, and what to use for that. So, like a certain type of stone. Have you ever heard of shungite?
I actually have. I've seen that name like float around like once or twice in the last like 6 months. I'll be completely honest with you, but I've heard the name. I have heard of the name.
So shungite is a stone that also supports protecting you against electromagnetic radiation. So if you constantly have your phone to your ear, Bluetooth headphones, or you're in front of a screen all the time, when you have shungite, it reduces the radiation level that you're exposed to. It also purifies water. You know, like that's holistic. It's just it supports you in different ways that you may not even be thinking of. Maybe your anxiety is high because you have too much radiation pulsing in front of you or through you because of your devices. So the holistic standpoint is looking at the whole person as opposed to just the problem that the person's facing. It's looking at the overarching person to figure out the overarching issue. What's the root cause of what's happening? Maybe you're super sore, you have a lot of back pain, um, or your joints are a little bit stiff. Taking a Himalayan salt bath, and pulling the lactic acid out of your body. Like, these are the things we have seminars about. So here's some tools, here's how you use them, here's what they do, and just kind of empowering people to optimize their health from a holistic standpoint, whether it's breath, plant medicine, a stone, different kinds of salt, whatever it is, right? Holistic.
Mm-hmm. Okay, that's interesting. And like you mentioned before, when it comes to the structure of seminars, it kind of really depends on what, institutions or other like businesses or, educational like schools are asking about. So I guess another follow-up question, how much is it now on you to, I guess I wouldn't say force yourself to know all this, because obviously you kind of like this is what you want to do. It's a passion, but how much of this now do you feel like, well, like you never know what someone's going to come up to you and like ask about? Again, you said that even from our previous conversations, the products that you made sometimes are based on, like it's custom. It's like someone asks, like, hey, I need this and that. And could you make something for me? And you go through a certain process through that. Like, how much now does that get to consider when it comes to like seminars? How much now do you feel you have to just be on top of like certain things about maybe like certain plants or like certain remedies, or just having that knowledge in the back of your head so you just know that when it's time or when someone brings up that topic or the subject matter, you're just able to deliver it?
Well, I wouldn't say that I have to be on top of it. This is my way of life. So I'm just sharing things that I already know about because of experience and research. And if it's something that I don't know, I'm open to learning about, or just saying that I don't know it, and maybe giving a reference as to where someone might be able to learn more about what they're looking for. So I I believe no matter what profession you're in, you have to be on top of your game. The difference is this is something that I studied and I've lived. So it comes out a bit more naturally, and the sources that I use are reputable, and I ensure that. So it's a little different.
Absolutely, absolutely. Okay, well, we definitely covered a lot so far. So for people who are tuning in and just hopping on to the conversation, you're listening to the Safe Room podcast here on Love Bay Radio. I'm here with my wonderful guest, Miss Nairobi Vision. She's the founder of Elemental Notes. We've talked a bit about breath work. We've gone into your seminars a bit. And I want to dig a little bit deeper into the seminar now. This question might be a little sticky. I don't want to like ruffle any feathers, but I guess what has been one seminar that you've enjoyed in terms of like just the overall experience? Maybe some of the students you've taught to, or maybe like one of the topics you cover. Like, what was the last seminar that you can remember of and thought, man, like what I just did out there, I'm proud of myself.
You know what? This, I don't know how this is going to sound, but I feel like that after every single one. I really do, because they're all different. Like, there isn't one that stands out more than the others. Like, whether it's the audience that's different, whether I've accomplished a milestone, like a new milestone, whether, I had one where one of the students just ran to me after it was done and just hugged me. I've never
Wow.
had that before. And they were like, "Thank you so much." I was like, "Oh my gosh, my heart is so full right now." Um, we did one on Tuesday, where it was a little bit different. I was speaking to students about my journey and their parents as well. So students and their parents, and just showing them the importance of uh, their education, and having them create vision boards about where they see themselves, and a roadmap on how they're going to get there. And to hear the parents and the children be in such awe, and like to hear the children, the students, speak about what their journeys are, like what their dreams are, and having an idea of how to achieve it. It's like, they're all amazing. I would say maybe the one that really resonates the most is when I had a group of participants. I had given them so much information, and when I heard them repeating the information back to me, I think for me it was like, oh my gosh, like they get it, like, and they're listening, because a lot of times you go into seminars and workshops. Let's be real. Sometimes you're like, oh my gosh, when is this going to be done?
Yeah.
You don't even know what the person's talking about, because you're not listening, because the person's not engaging, or maybe you think that information doesn't apply to you, or whatever. Maybe you had McDonald's for lunch and you're feeling itis. I don't know. Whatever it is, like, you're just not engaged. And to hear, it wasn't one or two, but like several, to hear over 20 participants telling you what you just told them, like that it's resonating. There isn't just one. It's just really beautiful, and that's why I love my work, because my work doesn't feel like work.
Right, right. I definitely feel that. And I mean, I think that's also very reassuring for yourself because it's like you mentioned, when it comes to seminars, no one usually pays attention. They're just sitting there and they're kind of telling themselves mentally, like, I just have to sit here and just tough it out. Like
No.
it takes balls if you're that person. It's like, you know what? I'm just gonna leave halfway through because I just don't care anymore. Like so I understand how like you get that type of like I guess stigma in the back of your head, but again, it's very reassuring to hear when students are actually learning and they're repeating what the facilitator is saying. It's good. It's lets you know that like I'm doing something like super like important with my business, and people and students are like they're resonating with what I have to say. It doesn't sound like filler. It doesn't just sound like words coming out of my mouth and they don't have any meaning or they don't have any weight. So I think I'm happy that you share that story and you share that little moment because I think that makes me like it just puts a smile on my face to know that you are doing some fantastic work, and such like the youth are now like grasping on it, and it just shows like if the youth are grasping on it, I know like the target audience that I have, like they're gonna be like grasping on it like even harder, and like you definitely had some amazing stuff to like represent, just to show just some of the value that you've given so far.
Well, thank you. It's not just youth though. It's adults, it's youth, it's everybody, and it's also not just me. You know, I'm like the maybe I'm sharing the words, but I have a team that supports me. So that supports elemental notes. So it's not just I, there's no I in team. It's us that's doing it. So it's
Mm.
pretty powerful, and it's a blessing. Like I have a lot of gratitude for having the ability and the tools to be able to do this, and watching this this beautiful thing just flourish and blossom.
Absolutely, absolutely. So another thing I actually want to talk about that we sort of did cover from our previous conversation was some of your products. Now, I know that you mentioned again with the products, you kind of structured it based on what, clients have asked you in the past, and like they've just kind of sticked within your like your resume or just sticked on your website. But one thing you were repeated multiple times, and I said we're definitely gonna get onto that, was
Ashwagandha.
yeah, I wanted you to say it. I'm like, you know what? I think she knows exactly where I'm coming from.
Ashwagandha.
Yeah, so maybe you could break down to the people like what that exactly is. Why do you love it so much, and just the process of you and your team putting together these products. Just how was that like? How that came together, and how you guys are able to just work as one well oil machine.
Okay. So ashwagandha is I feel like it's a masculine herb, but it's specifically its active ingredient. It has active compounds. Um, its active ingredient works with your adrenal glands, which is a yes, an organ, a gland in your body that pushes out your stress hormones. So when you're feeling adrenaline, um, cortisol, like there's different stress hormones that come out. That's where it's coming from. They sit right on top of your kidneys. And ashwagandha has an affinity for your adrenals, specifically with the stress hormone cortisol. So it helps to relax you because it works directly with that stress hormone to lower it. So when you're in a state of anxiety or stress, it'll help you feel relaxed at a lower dose. And at a medium dose, it will support giving you energy. It does also support testosterone. So it will lower cortisol, the stress hormone, and increase testosterone. And for those that work out, when your cortisol levels are high, your testosterone levels are not. So they counteract each other. Shon, am I talking too scientifically?
I mean, like, listen,
It's
this is your time.
I
You
I
you
can
speak.
I can not speak that way. I can speak differently. I
But
just
okay, here's what I'll say. The reason why you're here is because you have the expertise, and I want you to break it down. Now, obviously, there are some things that like I won't lie, when you told me it flew over my head, but it made me want to learn more afterwards. So I mean, you're
okay.
not going too fast for me. Like I may not know exactly what each gland is, but it's like I'm following
Okay.
along with the picture. So
So I want to, at least because we are speaking, I want to make sure that you understand me at least, and then if you
yeah,
understand me, then it'll help other people to understand me because
I
communication is
totally.
key, right?
Hmm.
Um, so let's just pick. You know what your kidneys are, right?
Yeah,
Okay. So just above your kidneys, there's another little soft tissue gland
right.
that pushes out your stress hormones, and that gland is called um, adrenals.
Hmm.
Okay. And so ashwagandha will help to kind of calm down that gland so that you're not feeling so stressed.
Right.
Okay, that's the long and short of it. I kind of can go off on a tangent, but then I think to myself, wait a second, is my audience
But
engaged in what we're talking about?
I totally get it, because like you mentioned, like certain things that you'll take, obviously there'll be like a main purpose for it, but sometimes there may give you like other things, or other effects will also happen to it. And I think it's important to know, because even just how we take in like Western medicine itself, we think like, okay, if you take this, it's gonna fix this and that, but we never also think about, oh, is it gonna now affect like another organ inside of me, or like does this affect like another hormone? Those are things we don't consider. So even you going into like extra detail, I think it's super important, because it may not be like, okay, I may not know exactly what Nairobi's saying to a T, but I understand the approach of how we should be more considerable about like other things, and then just saying like, oh, if it does this and it fixes it, all right, we're good. But it's like, again, having that self-consciousness, that awareness for our body and just how it functions.
Yes. So now, if you were someone who, if this rang a bell for you and you're like, you know what, I want to get some ashwagandha. Um, it, how you take it can do different things. It can do different things to you. So a lot of people will take it in powder or capsule form. Excuse me. Let me just drink some water. A lot of people will take it in powder or capsule form. Um, Now think about it from this way. Your body has to break down the capsule to get to the powder, and then break down the powder and distribute it to where it needs to go. So there's a bit of a digestion process that happens there. And I mentioned that at a low dose, it'll relax you. At a medium dose, it'll give you energy. And at a very high dose, it will put you to sleep. It's like lights out. Um,
Mm,
so if you're taking it in a powdered form, you may not know, it might be hard to figure out what that dosage might be. And it could be different for everybody because our constitutions are different, right? What might relax me may be different from what might relax you. If we take the same dose, maybe you won't feel anything and maybe I will, you know?
right.
So that brings me to spagyrics, that lovely word that no one knows, but that comes up and it's like, what is she talking about? Is she speaking English?
It sounds fancy. I told you, it sounds like very suave. So
Okay, spagyrics. I'm a spagyrist. So spagyrics are a a form of herbal medicine that comes from an alchemy standpoint. So it's like transforming or transmuting the herb
mhm,
into a way that it can be, I guess, absorbed
mm,
easier. And with spagyrics, which is what we specialize in, you are essentially getting the whole plant in a different way. The plant is being pulled and broken apart and then put back together again, kind of like a puzzle.
mhm,
And the way that it's put back together helps with the absorption in your body. So now, instead of your digestive system breaking this plant down and going through all of that, you're having something that's higher in electrolyte minerals and um, trace minerals, or I
mhm,
should say electrolytes and trace minerals. And because the minerals are in there, your cells are soaking this up at a much faster rate than if you were to take a powder or a
right,
capsule. Um, the difference you would feel would be with a spagyric, you might notice the difference in a couple minutes versus a capsule that can take much longer. And our body needs tissues, not tissues, minerals. So when we're
mhm,
drinking teas, unless it's a herb that's high in minerals, most of the time we're not getting all the minerals that we need because the water can't pull those minerals out of the plant. And with spagyrics, it does get the minerals out. So Again, you're using the entire plant for the entire person.
Okay, duly know. So that means I guess mint tea is out of the option. It's out of the picture. Drinking mint
No,
tea.
like drink tea's still good for you, but I'm saying you're getting a portion of the plant. Like
Okay.
you're not getting the full property of the plant when you're choosing to take it by tea. Um, it doesn't mean that it's not effective. It's effective in another way. Spagyrics is
Right.
just more bioavailable, meaning that your body is able to break it down and absorb it at a faster rate.
Okay, I see, I see. And I think that's super important as well. Cause again, like you mentioned, like with capsules or powder, like for me, like I don't mind taking a capsule, but for maybe someone else, it's like I can't do the capsule because people even say like, listen, how do people even swallow those things down their throat is like
For sure.
beyond me. But again, it's the breakdown process of it. It goes from capsule to powder, then it
Mhm.
needs to like soak in. Like that may take a while, and depending on someone's like like system, like it may break down and like it may have an effect on someone immediately for one person, but for another it may not. So you kind of having that little key, like breaking down the plans and figuring out like the key pieces and find that key like puzzle piece. I think it's super important because now it kind of makes everything more, I don't want to say efficient because I feel like that might be using the
It is
wrong
more
word.
efficient.
But yeah, it's more efficient. It allows everything to be broken down much faster without having to deal with the process of like how a capsule goes or even just a powder goes. So I think like you have that understanding and like again, you and your team have done like a great job. And like even you explaining it, it's making me say like, I think I need to cop one of her products like ASAP. ASAP no Rocky. Like for real.
Well, let me know. I'm here.
Definitely, definitely. I mean, like this is good information to know, and I hope for everyone listening, like this is something you're taking in that it's helping you learn a little bit more. Maybe this helps you to reach out to Nairobi, ask any more questions. This is why she's the master of all of this. I'm the student. I even told her that in our previous conversation. Like I don't know much. You just teach me. Let me know what I need to know.
I'm still a student. I think the best teachers are students, right?
Yeah,
When you think you know everything, then you're refusing to continue to learn. You're halting yourself. So um, I learn by who I'm speaking to, right? That's why I asked you if what I was saying was resonating, and I changed my language. Because if you're not receiving what I'm giving you, how great of a master or a teacher am I?
absolutely.
You know.
Absolutely. Yeah, I totally understand. See, this is something that I try to tell myself as well. Like, listen, I can't like completely go into like podcasting the way I can. It's like I have to be like very like simple, but at the same time, kind of walk them through it. If I just go guns a blazing and explaining about something that they don't know about, they're gonna be lost within the first 30 seconds. It's like, whoa, 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 slow down, Sean, slow down. Too much, too much. So I respect the fact that you see it as in like again like students like can like they are the ones that like you learn from them and it's not like, oh, I don't know everything, like I'm not a master, like you get it from the students. So I respect that. One final question I want to ask before we do a little fun activity, and like I know from last time I messed up, so this time I came prepared. We're switching it up, we're not doing the what we did last time,
Okay.
but until we get to that one final question. So and this one's more of a like a general question for elemental notes. What is the vision that you see elemental notes like from 5 years from now? Like what is like the big goal that you're chasing, or maybe if it's not a goal, but like what is something that you want to see elemental notes do in the next 5 to 10 years that will make you like satisfied just based on its like growth?
Okay. So I actually had a conversation with one of my elders on Monday, and we were talking about goals. And she said she doesn't look at things as goals, she looks at it as what's next. The vision, I have many different visions for elemental notes. I think the main one is to have engaged enough people so that the work just speaks for itself.
Right.
Right. And that's not just within Canada, that's internationally. I don't want to be a company that's watered down and huge to the point that it loses its niche. I want it to always be organic and authentic. And I want it to be a hub for whoever needs it in order to embrace their healing rhythm. So I guess a 5-year goal is to have, some of my products in different countries and have them be doing really well and just kind of generating their own streams of income. Obviously registered within those countries, to be traveling internationally to do these seminars and these workshops, and to have like an empire, like people, other registered Afro-Caribbean herbalists and other certified Afro-Caribbean breathwork facilitators that are able to also provide this unique resource to others globally. So it's to be a self-sustaining, organic, um, and sustainable company that is known internationally, but doesn't lose its authenticity.
Yeah.
Um,
I love that. I
yeah, and
love that.
that's me answering it not from like, if I was speaking to investors or something else, my answer would be different. But from like, in terms of like, you have to speak the lingo, right? But
Yes.
from a community perspective, we have so much power inside of us and so much beauty inside of us, and a lot of people tend to give their power away, and it's just to support them in remembering that they're the key to it, doing
Absolutely.
that
Yeah.
internationally. So yeah.
Yeah, definitely, definitely. I love how you did talk about that organic and authenticity. I think that's super important because again, we tend to lose that, and I feel like even like you mentioned, if you're in front of a investor or like a potential business partner, the lingo will change. But I feel like even now, and like this might be like an unpopular opinion on my personal end, but I feel like now a lot of us entrepreneurs, and like I'll even say like I'm guilty of it, we tend to forget to have that authenticity and organic side with our business. Sometimes we still focus on like too much on like, okay, we have to speak a certain language and like, sure, like definitely like based on the room. But I feel like even if I'm in a room where like, you know what, I do want to build a hub, but I'm still talking like a salesperson, like, oh, buy, like get this, get that. But it's like, what is like how does your business represent like just personally, like are you speaking from the heart? Because sometimes you don't always have to be like that salesperson who's always like in their face. Sometimes you can be in a room full of people and build that community, build that audience that is niche and that resonates with you, like, and like I do resonate to the word you're saying because I'm trying to do the same thing for the safe room. I want to build a hub, build an audience where it's like it's a community, but we're not losing our authenticity. We're not losing our core values to like, oh, we need to get famous and get popular so we can just grab people that A, don't even fit our vision, and B, like probably won't care about what we do if we even try to like reach out to them. Like that's not my MO. That's not the type of approach that I want. So hearing those words, it's something that like I resonate to deeply. So thank you for sharing that.
Yeah, you're welcome. Thank you.
Oh, yeah, yeah. Okay. Those are all the main questions and all the stuff I have covered. So we're gonna wrap things up with a fun activity. Now, for people who don't know, last time we did an activity, I completely butchered it. So for those who don't know, you might have to go tune into that conversation. I'm not gonna explain it here because it'll be a whole episode itself, me having to explain my mishap, but it is what it is. But this time, Nairobi, I kept it very simple. We're going to do a little round of most likely to. Very simple. I'm just going to ask you some most likely to questions, and you just give me whatever answer that comes to mind. All right.
Okay.
All right. And like these are completely random. So like I might get very like goofy with my selection. So just be aware for that.
I'm all about the goofiness. Let's go.
Okay, all right. First question. Who is most likely to travel to space? And to make this question a little bit more simpler, maybe someone in your circle. Who is most likely to travel to space?
Someone that I know.
Yes, it could someone that you know.
Someone who don't want to live here no more. I'm thinking, would I go to space? I'm like, hell no. I don't know what's out there. I know there's stuff out there, but I don't know what's out there. I don't have an answer for that. Who is most likely to go to space? Actually, yeah, I do. I have a girlfriend that I think would go to space.
Okay.
I have a homegirl that I believe would go to space. Her
All
name's
right.
her name's Essence. I'm gonna tell her to watch this. She'd definitely go to space. She's I call her Carmen San Diego. I actually text her and say, "Where are you, Carmen?" It's like a running joke. She would
Mm-hmm.
definitely go to space.
Okay, interesting. Like, listen, I'm on the same boat as you. Like, I don't know why anyone would want to travel to space. It's just like, I leave that alone. Again, there's stuff up there that I don't know about, or probably I do know about. Like, it's there, but I don't know, and I don't want to know.
Ignorance is bliss. We're taking the blue pill?
Honestly.
Man.
But listen, I respect the answer. Okay, next one I have here. Who is most likely to win an Oscar?
My sister, Dominique Grant.
Oh, shout out to Dominique, man. Shout out to Dominique. I literally saw her perform last week downtown at Union Station. So shout out to
Okay.
her.
Yeah, that's my sister. So definitely.
Okay. Honestly, we have to get her on the podcast sometime. It's been a while since I've reached
Contact
out to
her.
her. So
Contact her, yeah.
okay, perfect. All right. Next question. Who is most likely to become a stunt double?
Where my mind just went was terrible. Who would become a stunt double? I don't know if I have an answer for that.
It's a tricky one. Would you say yourself?
No. No. I love my body and I want it to work for me until my last days. You know, my grandfather, he's 86. He still goes for a bike ride in the morning. I'm a stunt double. That's not happening.
I mean, yeah, it depends though. I mean, like it depends on what you're being asked to do. If it's like Tom Cruise Mission Impossible, like no,
It's a
absolutely not.
stunt. It's a stunt. It doesn't matter what you're being asked to do. It's a stunt. You need to be acrobatic. You need to be able to know how to fall. You know, like there's an art to falling.
There
And
is.
if you don't know how to fall, that's when you like really hurt yourself. You know, I don't have. You stumped me on that one.
Okay.
I don't have an answer.
All right. Yeah, that's cool. All right. Next one. Who is most likely to leave without saying goodbye?
Actually, I have a friend that does that all the time, and I can't say his name because he's gonna be like, "Why did you say my name on the radio?"
Fair.
It's not most likely he does it. He does
I
it.
get.
I
I
actually
get.
keep eyes on him to make sure that I've said goodbye because
Mm-hmm.
yeah,
Fair. Honestly, he might be watching this, so he's like, "Hey, Nairobi, I'm on you now. I'm on you now. You might have not said my name, but I'm on you now."
he knows who he is.
Okay. Next one. Who is most likely to write a book?
Me.
Yeah, honestly, I can see that. Have you thought about it recently?
Yeah, I thought about it.
I think you should do it for sure.
It's it's on my bucket list.
Okay. Interesting. All right. I'll probably hit you with one more.
Okay.
So, and again, we're gonna go back to like in your inner circle, who is most likely to be the life of the party?
Depends on what is involved. Are we under the substance? Is there no substance? Are we in the city? Are we somewhere else?
I'm gonna leave that to you. I'm gonna leave that to you.
It depends. I have um my people are very lit. They can be very lit. And I have that side to myself. So it just depends on where we are. Um
Okay.
so yeah.
Okay, all right. Fair enough. All right. Yeah, that's everything I have for today, Nairobi. Thank you so much for coming on back on the Safe Room podcast. Fantastic conversation. Yeah, you were fantastic with your answers. Yeah, the personality was definitely 10 times more for sure. So it was great having you back on.
So I'm gonna give you a name for the last one. Just the last question you asked.
Okay.
Janelle. Janelle.
Okay.
Yeah, her name is Janelle. That's the life of the party. Doesn't matter where we're at.
Okay. All right.
Yeah,
Perfect.
but thank
Perfect.
you for having me.
Of
Yeah.
course. Where can people find you on social media, or where can people contact your business?
Okay, so my website is elementalnotes.ca, elementalnotes.ca, and my email is info at elementalnotes.ca. So if you have any inquiries, any bookings, if you'd like to know more about our products or services, you can reach us there. We do a lot of custom things, and we are able to support if you have a vision for your company, or if you have a small group and you're looking to do something with them in terms of workshop or seminar. And then for like individual stuff, consultations, breathwork sessions, products, if you need any formulas, you can hit us up. We do in-person and online sessions as well. And for social media, we are on all social media platforms. For Instagram, TikTok, and Facebook, it is elementalnotes.ca. And for Twitter and YouTube, it's Elemental Notes. And LinkedIn is Elemental Notes as well.
All right, perfect. Ladies and gentlemen, make sure you go reach out to Nairobi. She's absolutely awesome at what she does, one of the best at what she does. So definitely go reach out to her. So thank you again, Nairobi, for coming on. And thank you to everyone listening to the Safe Room here on Love Bay Radio. If you want to become a guest, perhaps, you could check out our website at thesaferoom.ca. You can follow us on Instagram at the Safe Room Official. And if you want to check out any of our previous conversations, head over to Spotify or Apple Podcasts. Just type in the Safe Room and you will find us there. But until then, tune in to us next week for your favorite podcast on Love Bay Radio. Until then, we'll see you guys next time.
Bye.